what we're talking today. Now, what has changed over the times? We have just seen, everyone reads about Mahabharata, Ramayana, everything. And what has really changed from the Hathras to the present day? What has changed? Unfortunately, nothing. Unfortunately, we still find that the incidence of violence against women is there across the country. And friends, when you look at this map, our country looks so beautiful, but unfortunately, this map shows there are so many unsafe spaces in the country. And one of my dear friends, who actually whenever has to visit Delhi, refuses to travel alone. She will always get a colleague of her to reach Delhi. And that's so very sad. If the capital of the country is not very safe, then how can we be safe in the country? So these are some of the issues why we need to talk about what we're talking today. So to understand the widespread menace of violence against women and how it intersects with the health issues in women, you must be wondering, these are gynecologists. She's a FOXI president. She's talking on behalf of FOXI, the gynecologist. Why does she have to talk about violence? You must be wondering, what does violence against women and gynecologists have in common? Friends, we find that violence against women has an effect on pregnancy, and that has an effect on the maternal health, morbidity and mortality. And that is the reason why we need to focus on the role of obstetrician gynecologists in detecting violence. And the most important aspect is to train our trainees to focus on the war and the future torchbearers of women's health. If we can actually tell our juniors, the generation next who are going to take care of women's health, that they need to address this issue, only then we can actually have all the obstetricians, gynecologists address this issue. This all started off way back when FOXI was focusing on the girl child, and in 2013 we did the Save the Girl Child. In fact, in 2008 when Dr. Narendra Malhotra was the president of FOXI, he said Beti Bachao, Beti Padhao, and that same slogan is what our Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi ji has actually adopted. So that shows how FOXI is so very proactive to give the country the most important slogan to go forward. And that's what is the responsibility of each one of us. In 2013, when I did the FOXI FIGO conference in Hyderabad, it was Save the Girl Child. Invest in me, I am the future. That is what every little girl baby will be telling. Because if you invest in the girls, then you are investing in the future of the country. And that awareness has to be there in the whole society. Now, violence against women is perhaps one of the most shameful human rights violations. It is perhaps the most pervasive. It knows no geographic boundaries. It is there in every part of the globe, and it's not only in India. And as long as it continues, we really can't say that we are making progress. And that is the reason why we all need to know about it. We all need to talk about it so that at some point of time, it starts decreasing. Any behavior which is causing physical, sexual, psychological and reproductive coercion, forcing a woman to live in fear, that is violence. Oh, I only told her some things in loud voice. That is not violence. Sorry. Anything which can cause trauma, mental, physical, psychological, that is equivalent to violence. And when you look at the United Nations report, if you have a forced pregnancy, forced abortion, forced sterilization or denial of family planning, they are all different forms of violence. And Indian data shows that reproductive coercion exists to the extent of 22% to 50%. So it is there in every form in the country. Who is going to decide when the woman is ready to have a baby, when the woman needs to have an abortion, when the woman needs to have an sterilization? Is it going to be the mother-in-law, the husband, the doctor, the government, the society? Unfortunately, no. It should be only the woman who should be responsible, and she should be alert and should have the courage to say, this is what I want. The impact it has on the economy is the reason why all of us need to talk about it, because global presence of violence against women. And statistics in India are no better. Crimes against women in so many different forms which are there. And every part of the country, it is there, every part of the globe. And so many different types of violences. The reasons: burning the food, not cooking properly, went out without telling the in-laws, arguing with him, refusing to have the sexual interaction, showing disrespect. These are some of the various reasons for violence. We have unfortunately seen that during the COVID pandemic, we have got another pandemic, the silent pandemic, the shadow pandemic, which is the violence against women. People were in the confines of the home. Everyone was not very lucky. Because when you are actually working and going out, you are not with the person who is actually doing the violence 24/7. And in the pandemic and lockdown, found that women were exposed to the people who actually inflict the violence. And that made this so very predominant that everyone realized now that we need to talk about it, we need to address it if we want to have the best of health in women. In India, Telangana, that's my state, I'm very, very happy to and proud of my state, but when you look at the survey in Telangana state, we have 43% of the women who have experienced spousal violence, which is so very sad. To be born as a girl, discriminated from the womb to tomb, right from the pre-birth, sex-selective abortions, to battering of pregnancy because of female child, to domestic violence, to female infanticide, to the, of course in our country we have genital mutilation, not in a very predominant form, but it still does exist in some corners. Child marriages, and so many other types of violences. Nowadays we find a new type of violence, the cyber violence, dating and courtship violence, and sexual abuse in the workspace, rape, sexual harassment. These are all different. It's all different types. Trafficking in women and marital rape and so many other things which happens. So whatever be the violence, I think all of us need to say that we need to stop it. We find physical violence sometimes in pregnancy. We come across women who are brought to us with lot of injuries in pregnancy. We would think that probably that maternal death is because of some blood pressure, preeclampsia. But when actually go into the postmortem and do probing into it, we find that sometimes it's the case where the husband has hit on the head or somebody has pushed her down, and that could be because of previous girl-child babies or so many other issues. So we have to see what is behind the actual history. Sometimes the women will come with a rupture of the uterus, and we think, okay, it's a rupture of uterus, but when you look into the history, we find that sometimes it's a brutal cheating of the husband on the pregnant woman. All these are showing the effect of intimate partner violence, which is very prevalent even in our country. This is not statistics of some other country, these are statistics of our own country. Sometimes you find women are admitted with so many injuries. So look at the physical markers, look at the psychological markers, and we have to understand why violence and women's health and why and where do they intersect. Women are dying because of a disease we cannot treat, is it? Unfortunately not. Women are dying not because of a disease we cannot treat. They are dying because societies are yet to make the decision that their lives are worth saving. This is a dialogue which has been told by our past FICO president quite some years back, and unfortunately even to this date we have to use this slide. So the difference will be when we stop using this slide, I think that would be the achievement of women's health. So when you look at the global maternal rates, look at how many women are dying, and when you look at the number of women dying, the women who are dying in the part of the world where the sub-Saharan and Asia, 94% of the maternal deaths are here. And when you look at many of the avoidable deaths, we find sometimes out of all the causes, most important, behind the scene, there could be the violence against women. So if we address this, we can save so many more lives from dying. We have to be very alert to the intimate partner violence. And of course, we cannot talk about HIV and AIDS without talking about violence, because sometimes men refuse to use condoms. That was also responsible for the increase in HIV, and that has to be addressed. Then only you can achieve a difference. The violence against women is a serious human rights violation and is a major public health problem. It is not a private problem, because of this probably we have not achieved MDG goals, and that's the reason now we are trying to achieve SDG goals, and unless we address this we will not be able to actually make a difference. And intimate partner violence is widely existing. Way back in 2015, the FIGO formed the No to Violence Against Women working group. I was very lucky to be a part of that group. And then I started thinking, what is it that we as obstetrician gynecologists need to do about this? We are very special because we are in a very unique position. We are the first point of contact for any woman who has a problem. Who does the woman go to? I am a gynecologist's daughter. When I was a child, I wanted to go out, so when I go into the clinic room, my mother would have finished seeing the patient, but still she'll go on talking. That's it. You have seen the patient, you have written the medicines, what is still talking? That was a time where the patient used to confide in the doctors, in the gynecologists, all the problems, because the obstetrician gynecologist is the first point of contact. They won't go to a police or a lawyer or a judge. They come to the doctor. Obstetrician gynecologist, the gynecologist amma. So we have to be actually very alert, so that we have to give that empathy to our women, and that's the reason why we are in a very special position in women's health. So that was the time where I initiated Dheera. Dheera means courage in Sanskrit. It translates courage, compassion and strength. And it is basically, it is to sensitize ourselves, the society and everyone on the effect of violence, and as an